Hello, Coach Markel here. I am going to do a webinar today to help you learn how to be the most successful Ironman athlete possible. You are going to learn one of my proprietary steps in training Ironman triathletes to help them finish in under 17 hours injury free. So I'm going to be showing you a presentation today so you can learn all about my methodology. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message during this training, or you can send me a message on any of my social media. I'm on Instagram, Markel140.6, and also my YouTube channel is Markel140.6, or you can catch me on email at markel140.6@gmail.com. And Markel is spelled Markell. So let me go ahead and get you to the webinar. Thank you for those of us who are joining me live today, and also those who are going to watch on the replay. All right, I am going to share my screen. And here we go. Hopefully you can all see my screen right now. So I want to talk to you about Endura Ironman training. Endura Ironman training is my proprietary system, and it is a 3-step system. And today we are going to talk about the evaluation process. This is called how evaluation is a necessary first step. So what is an Ironman? An Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run. It's a marathon. So most of the time you're going to be in the ocean or a lake. You're going to be on a bike course for 112 miles. There can be many different styles of bike courses. You can have a 1-loop, a 2-loop, a 3-loop. So it'll be broken into different amounts. It's all different based on the course. And then it'll always be followed by a marathon in the end. Just when you're feeling like you're almost done, you get to start a nice marathon in the afternoon. What reasons do people have that make them want to be an Ironman? Well, they want to challenge themselves. They want to try something new. They want to get in better shape. They might want to inspire themselves. They might want to inspire others, or they might want to get the tattoo. You can see this Ironman symbol here, and many people, the reason they want to do an Ironman is so they can get the tattoo. I had always said my whole life, the only tattoo I would ever get is if I finished an Ironman or if I made an Olympic team. Well, I finished an Ironman, and I sure did go ahead and put that tattoo on my ankle. It's a mark of an accomplishment. Just as you see many people that have competed in the Olympic Games having the Olympic rings on their body, you can get this Ironman tattoo on your body once you have completed a full Ironman competition. There are half Ironman competitions, but this tattoo is exclusive for people that have done a full Ironman. So who am I and why am I talking to you about this? I am a swimming and triathlon sports performance specialist. I've coached for over 20 years. I've trained thousands of athletes from beginner to Ironman World Championships to Olympic gold medalists. Every Ironman I have trained has finished the Ironman in under the cutoff time. I am an expert at preventing injuries and helping athletes overcome injuries. And I've spent 4 years working for orthopedic surgeons and 5 years working for a physical therapist. I currently own my own company, and I exclusively train people to accomplish their goals. And I also work with them in and out of the water. The Endura method of training is a proprietary system of Ironman training that I've developed over many years of training athletes. It's a special methodology that helps athletes ensure they can complete their races injury free and under the cutoff time. The DNF rate, that means did not finish or does not finish, rate for Ironmans is around 25%. That's counting everyone that showed up that day. But depending on the race, there's another 10 to 25% that sign up and do not even make it to the finish line. So it's a pretty high percentage that don't cross that finish line on their race day. They can either be underprepared or undertrained, which is two completely different things, and we'll discuss on another day. They can be overtrained or injured. And my methodology ensures that none of these things happen. The Endura method is proven effective. I have never had an Ironman I train DNF an Ironman or not be able to compete because of not being ready or being injured. The one exception is here. The only time I had an Ironman not complete their Ironman was because they were sick on race day. They were very, very ill from an infection, and that is the only time my Ironman did not cross the finish line. The component of the methodology of training that I use is a 3-step system. And the component we're going to discuss today of the Endura method is evaluation. Evaluation may not seem like a big deal, but I'm going to go through different parts of it, and you'll see how important it is and why it's a necessary first step for Ironman training. Evaluation, for some people, when they hear this word, it can increase their stress level. But in the Endura method of training, evaluation reduces stress both physically and emotionally. By going through the evaluation process, you're going to make sure you are fully equipped to start your training and continue your training, and also make sure you're ready for race day. In the Endura method, what does evaluate mean, and how is it done, and how does it help? Those are all questions I'm going to answer today. During the evaluation process, we are seeking to find out where the athlete currently is, physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is not to judge or shame an athlete, but to start them at the appropriate level so they can be as successful as possible. And here we see in bold, avoid injury. No athlete wants to become injured. No athlete wants to miss out on their Ironman that they have spent a tremendous amount of time and money and energy and emotion because they're injured. I don't want that to happen to you. Let me use an example that is going to help some people because they may have experienced this in their own life, in their children's life, in their friend's life. So when my daughter was wanting to join year-round swimming, they had to do an evaluation. They needed to see where she was at that particular time with her swimming skills. They also needed to see how prepared she was mentally and emotionally. And they needed to see what her trajectory was, meaning how much potential she had. And all of these different factors determined what group she was going to be in. If they put her in a group that was too simple for her, she would be bored. Some of you have seen yourself or your kids or your friends' kids, your nieces, your nephews, this in sports or in school or in all sorts of different programs. If it's too easy, they get bored. And then when you get bored, you no longer want to participate in that activity. If the group was too advanced for her, she could end up hating it because she was constantly behind, and she could end up injured. None of these which would have been a favorable outcome. The Endura method will focus first on evaluation. This will help make the training more enjoyable and will help prevent injuries. It'll make it where you're not overtrained or undertrained, underprepared, or injured. Just as my daughter had to go through this process in her evaluation for swimming, I'll have you go through this process in your evaluation for preparing you to be an Ironman. If an athlete has a beginner level of fitness, they need to start at a different place than someone who has been doing sprint triathlons. Sprint triathlons are not beginner. Some people may start with this, but they're a very, very accomplished place as an athlete. And you may be working out multiple days a week and be very fit. This is not to undermine your fitness level, but just to assess where you are for a place of triathlons. If an athlete has been doing half Ironmans, they need to start from a different place that someone has been doing mainly running marathons. Self-evaluation is crucial, and necessary for success. But also, my evaluation is going to be very important too. But if an athlete can't honestly assess where they are, what they've done, and where they want to go, they're not going to be as successful. So some athletes may fudge a little in the evaluation process, but it's really extremely important that you do an honest evaluation. This is also going to help you see your progress. This is day 1 assessment for the Endurance Strength program. Let me tell you a little bit about the Endurance Strength program before we go on. This is a 9-week program. The first week is assessment, and then it has 8 weeks of strength progression. This is my proprietary system of strength training for Ironman triathletes. Now, many people do not think that strength training is important when training for an Ironman. You need to swim, and you need a bike, and you need to run. But in my experience, if you just swim and bike and run, you're going to end up underprepared and injured. Also, strength training in Ironmans can reduce the amount of other training you need to do, saving you time and also helping prevent burnout. In my Endurance Strength program, we go through strength exercises and mobility exercises, balance exercises, coordination exercises, flexibility exercises, balance and body line exercises, power exercises, specifically for the swim, for the bike, and for the run. And it's broken down in a way that one day you're going to do strength training for the swim, another day you're going to do strength training for the bike, and another day you're going to do strength training for the run. This is all a great way to help you be prepared for the Ironman. I'm just checking to make sure no one else is signed in. Okay, let me go back to this screen. So this training we're going to go through is specifically for the swim portion. Now, this is not the strength training portion. The first part of this is the initial evaluation. The second part of this is a portion of the evaluation process you'll go through every single week. So you're going to automatically be able to see your progress and see how well you have done. Day 1. What part of my swim feels the strongest? Do you feel strongest in your pull or your catch with your arms? Do you feel strongest in your kick? Do you feel like your endurance is the strongest part? Do you feel like you have a really good finish to the stroke? That would be the back part of the stroke. Do you feel that your body line is the best? Do you feel that you have an excellent rotation? Do you feel like your breathing control or your breathing pattern or even your breathing technique is the best? Do you feel like you do a great job of not panicking during the swim? Do you feel like you're very strong in the water or that you're weak in the water? And maybe you feel like sighting is your very best part. Those are all different things you could put down when doing this. So I encourage, if you're watching this, to go ahead and write down, what do you think the strongest part of your swim is? Now, what part of my swim feels the weakest? Maybe your answer is the entire thing. I have trained people to finish Ironmans that even 12 weeks out from their Ironman competition could not swim one length of the pool. And I'm talking 125-yard length of the pool. I had an athlete who 6 weeks out from his half Ironman and 12 weeks out from his full Ironman could not swim one length of a 25-yard pool. We worked together to help his swim, and by 6 weeks, he finished his half Ironman in under the cutoff time, and by 12 weeks later, he finished an entire Ironman in less than the cutoff time. He got that Ironman finisher medal and that Ironman finisher shirt. He did amazing. So if right now your answer is what part of my swim feels the weakest, and your answer is the whole thing, that's okay. Just be honest. And if you can break it down even more, break it down even more. Where do I experience pain in the swim or during the swim? And this says, please describe the type of pain and the intensity. This pain and intensity can be specific for you. You may say, my knee hurts every time I push off the wall. You may say, my neck is very uncomfortable every time I breathe to the left side. You may say the front of your shoulder hurts when you catch the water. And for each of these things, I want to know the intensity. 0 is going to be, I feel absolutely no pain or discomfort. 10 is going to be, it's so bad, I want to chop my arm off, my shoulder hurts so bad. I want to get a brand new back because it's in so much pain when I swim, or any extreme. And then you can mark anything in between. So I would recommend you describe the pain or discomfort and the intensity. This is going to be helpful as we progress so you can know what areas you've improved on. How do I make myself go faster when that is my goal? When I'm in the pool or I'm in the open water and I'm trying to swim, what do I think about? What body parts do I move faster? What motions do I do to make myself go faster in the swim? Well, maybe you move your arms way faster. Maybe you kick way harder. Maybe you twist your hips really fast. Maybe you try to hold your breath. Any of these things and whatever you are doing is completely valid. I just need to see that you're doing it and what it is that you're doing. If the answer is, I never try to make myself go faster, put that. If your answer is, I try not to drown, put that. Any answer is valid. We just need to know where you are so we can get you to the next step. Now, here's where we start to do some self-evaluation for the actual exercises that we're going to do. All of these that I'll go through are part of the Endurance Strength training program. There are some that we aren't going through today, but all of these are part of the program and they're very important. So, how many push-ups can I do with my hands in neutral position? That just means a traditional push-up. You're not trying to do a diamond push-up. You're not trying to do a wide push-up, clapping push-up, nothing like that. Just a regular push-up. If you want to do it now, you can do it now. So in 30 seconds, how many push-ups can you do? And I want you to note your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you want to say discomfort, you can do that too. So maybe as you're doing these push-ups, and if you're doing them right now, that's great. Maybe as you're doing these push-ups in the front of your shoulder, you start feeling a sharp pain. Maybe as you're doing these push-ups, your low back hurts. Maybe you're doing a modified push-up, either hands on the wall or knees on the ground. Both of these are acceptable, but you just need to make note of it. I got 30 seconds of push-ups on the wall, and my feet were about 18 inches away from the wall, and it hurt in between my shoulder blades at a scale of 4. Okay, I'm just making up that, but any type of assessment like that is important to note. How many push-ups can I do with right hand in front in 30 seconds? Now, why would I care about having your right hand in front? Because when we do freestyle or front crawl, as some people call it, or forward crawl, you have one hand in front as the other hand's finishing the stroke. And you're going to do the same thing with the other hand in front. Going through these push-ups is going to be part of your strength training program. So I want to know where you start from, and I want to know how it feels, because I want to know, and you need to know, what your strength is in that position. It's very different than your strength in a neutral push-up position. So you're going to note how many you can do. You're going to note the type of push-up you did, whether you did it on the ground, on the wall, or with knees on the ground. And you're going to note the type and intensity of pain you had, if any. And if pain is discomfort just from muscular fatigue, that's fine too. Just make note of it. And then same thing with left hand in front. If you want to do it now, that's fine. If you want to go through it later, that's fine. But all of these things are going to indicate your fitness level for your Ironman. If your answer is 0 on all of these, you can totally still do an Ironman. Don't become discouraged, okay? All of these things are going to help you get better, and it's going to help you be stronger in the water. Today, we're going through things in the water. There are 3 parts of the strength program, as I talked about, but today, these are things for the swim. So go ahead and do it for the left side and note the pain or discomfort and what position you were able to do it in and how many you could do. How many flutter or freestyle kicks can I do in 60 seconds? Count each side as a rep. So if you're lying flat on your stomach and you have your arms over your head, you can put them into a streamline if you want. That's where your hand is on top of your other hand, or you can just put them out in front, resting on the ground. Just note the position that you did. If you have your hands under your head for it to be more comfortable, that's fine. Just again, note the position you did. And do these kicks so it's alternating legs up and down. If you've ever swam freestyle or you've ever watched someone swim freestyle, you'll just notice that the legs come up and down, up and down, up and down. And you're going to want to know how many of these you can do in 60 seconds. Take notice of how it feels. Is it painful? Is it just tiring? Is it exhilarating? Is there discomfort? And how many you can do in 10 seconds. And I indicated on here, count each side as a rep or a repetition. So if you do right leg, left leg, 10 times on each, that's a total of 20. It's just making sure we have consistent count. All of these questions will help you know where you start and will also help you see your improvement. As I mentioned, in the Endurance Strength Training Program, there are a lot more things to evaluate. In this program, you will receive videos and explanations of how to do every single one of the exercises. You will also determine how many you do based on your evaluation, and you will grow and progress through the 8 weeks of the exercises. Like I said, 1 week for evaluation and 8 weeks for the exercises. So if you want to do the first week of exercises on the day you do evaluation, that's totally fine. So then it can become an 8-week program. And then at the end of this 8-week program, I definitely go through how to progress these exercises so that you can continue on with the training with this program. So if you are 16 weeks out from an Ironman, when should you start this strength training program? Today. If you are 32 weeks out from an Ironman, when should you start this strength training program? Today. If you're 8 weeks out from an Ironman, when should you start this strength training? Today. All of these will help you reduce your injuries and help ensure that you will finish the Ironman in under the cutoff time. By having an evaluation process, it will give you a way to start at the correct spot and see your progression. So If it causes pain in your shoulder to do one push-up on the ground, then you may need to start those push-ups on the wall, and it'll indicate this in the training program. If it gives you pain to do flutter kicks for 10 seconds, we may start with a stretching program, and those exercises will be in the program. And we'll have specific exercises for how you feel, and it will have specific stretches for how you feel. Mobility is very important when it comes to Ironman training, but on the other end of the spectrum, so is stability. So we're going to make sure that you're equipped in both of these parameters. This will ensure you progress at the correct rate so you do not become overtrained or injured. I highly recommend you do not progress the program more quickly than assigned. Even if the first round of exercises is very simple for you, I still suggest that you go through these as instructed. You can start at a higher number of reps as indicated in the program, but you want to make sure you start at the baseline level. In the beginning of this webinar, I talked about how some people think that strength training is a waste for Ironman training. On the other end of the spectrum, I have athletes that do a tremendous amount of strength training. And some of them that I have met even do things such as powerlifting or very, very heavy strength training. If that's something you like doing, I'm not going to discourage you from doing it, but this would also be an excellent supplement to make sure that you have the strength in the right places so you can have the speed in the right places, the endurance in the right places, and not become injured. Now, this hopefully has been a helpful training to you. And I want to talk a little bit more. Sorry, I had a glitch in my Zoom video. This I will talk a little bit about more. So this strength training program that I have developed has been tested on, I kid you not, thousands of athletes. Thousands of athletes. And let me tell you, my athletes do not get injured. Okay, let me say that again. My athletes do not get injured. Why? Because this is an extremely strategic strength program. I did not mean that to be an alliteration. It's a very strategic strength program. And I know I've said it multiple times, but I just want to hone in on the point that it will not only increase your speed, it will not only increase your endurance, it will help the probability of you finishing the race, but most importantly, who wants to end up injured? I hear the story time and time again from people who I was not working with, that they were training so hard leading up to their first Ironman, and then they became injured. And guess what? I want to tell you a little secret. When I was very young, first out of school, and training for my very first Ironman, before I had any experience in triathlons, before I had any experience in injury prevention, before I worked for physical therapists, before I worked through orthopedic surgeons, before I was doing strength training to prevent injuries, I was training for my first Ironman. And I was less than 5 months out from my Ironman. And guess what? You know what's happening. I became injured. It was terrible. My life felt like it was over. I had invested thousands and thousands of dollars. I had told everyone I was going to do an Ironman, because we know if we're training for an Ironman, everyone knows we're training for an Ironman. And I had gone through so much exhaustion and so much fatigue and sacrificed so much family time so I could train for this Ironman. And I became injured. Now, my bike did not have a proper fit, and that is what caused this to happen. But I was able to rehab myself and overcome this injury. And less than 5 months later, I finished my Ironman in under the cutoff time. It was the happiest day of my life up until I finished the next Ironman. So I just want to let you know that if you're considering doing strength training for an Ironman, I highly recommend checking out this successful program. If you have questions about this program, you can message me at Markell, Markell, 140.6 @gmail.com. You can send me a message on Instagram, Markell140.6 @gmail.com. And you can also check out any other information I have on my YouTube channel. I thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have questions, make sure to message me, and I would love to answer all your questions on how to be a successful Ironman injury-free in under the cutoff time. Thank you so much for joining me today.